Alright, the next unit we're looking at today is LR and Vegeta and Trunks. They're an amazing EZA due to how tanky they can be. They can get caught pretty easily if you don't build them up right away, especially pre-super on turn 1, but otherwise they're pretty much unkillable after supering. Now, of course, if they get locked outside of slot 1, they can have issues of tanking for sure, and that can be a big issue, but overall, due to their stacking on the 18 key while allowing others to stack due to their 5% attacking defense to all allies, and then the ability to have all that defense post-super. I mean, like, once you get 2 stacks in post-super, they're at like 7 mil defense, 50% damage reduction in guard. There's just not much that kills them, and that's without considering the active turn, by the way. The active turn is its own layer of team protection while also making them insanely tanky, which is the reason why I really do enjoy this unit. I know a lot of people can find issues with this unit due to him being pretty vulnerable right away in fights, because again, Rose is hitting 8 mil supers, and having the low amount of defense right away can be an issue for this unit, or getting locked outside of slot 1 for sure, but if you're able to keep him in slot 1 and build up those stacks and have him fully built up, he's unstoppable. Alright, the next unit I want to look at is TEQ Syn Shenron. I think they did an incredible job with this kit, and acknowledging the fact that Omega Shenron exists. Both him and the INT Yamcha Gogeta have this thing in the kit where they get 40% damage reduction on the first turn only, which is great, because first of all, if you have bad rotations, or you get locked in slot 1, right, it allows you to escape, because here, if you get all of his orbs, and even just, let's just say one Omega's up, let's not say both of them are up, he has 90% damage reduction. I've had a lot of times where he's at 100% damage reduction, which means he's unkillable on his first turn, because he doesn't get his damage reduction when attacking, he just gets it when he obtains the orbs. So he is incredible in slot 1 on his first turn. Outside of that, I probably would not run him in slot 1 due to the fact that he really does need to super and kind of allow himself to, you know, to get that SA effect. He does look pretty good with the double Omega support. He does go up to a 4.8 million defense, along with his own, what is it, 0, 20, 40, 60% damage reduction. Yeah, I know I had to do math, I just had to minus the 40. But yeah, 60% damage reduction, along with a 4.8 mil defense post-super. I mean, you're not going to kill this guy. He's really, really strong. I mean, he's an incredible buff for this team. It does suck that he's not a slot 1 unit outside of the first turn, due to the fact that Omega really shouldn't be in slot 1 either. So, I mean, you're still probably going to have to run Rose in slot 1 after he loses his first turn. You're probably going to still have to run Tech Broly or some of those other units. But, again, we are in short fight meta, so really holding down the line for 1 turn is quite incredible. Alright, the next unit I want to look at is Super EZA Vegito Blue. Yes, we're including Super EZAs in this list. It turns out Super EZAs don't really land well on YouTube for some reason. A lot of people don't really care about Super EZAs. I think the general topic of EZAs does, interest people, and so I'm just going to group them together just to allow them to be relevant in my videos still. And so I'm going to talk about the Super EZA Vegito Blue. I mean, he is a very strong unit. I'm not going to lie, of course, these very built-up bosses can do some damage to him, but with 80% damage reduction against normals, he pretty much is unkillable. Against normals, I'm not saying he is, I'm just saying he pretty much is. And the greatest thing about this unit is his ability to get around super attacks. That's what every Vegito has lacked recently on their EZA, is a way to get around those supers. And the fact that he has dodge in order to get around them allows him to age very well. Of course, in dodge canceling fights, I would not bring this unit at all. He will struggle for sure. I am not going to deny that. But if you can bring him in those fights that allow dodge, he's going to perform very well. Lots of damage. He's going to tank fairly well against all those normals, no matter how strong they get, due to the 80% damage reduction, and of course just having a ton of stats on him, and then the ability to dodge supers as well. And he's supporting like crazy. I mean, he has a 2-turn support, which means even if he's not on rotation, he's providing support and a Rainbow Orb Changer. He's a very valuable unit, and currently one of the strongest EZAs we have in the game. Alright, the next unit I want to look at is Super EZA AGL Rose Goku Black, his other counterpart to the Fizz Vegito Blue. A lot of people don't like this unit, and I can understand why, due to the fact that he can get caught right away, even post-super, because he does get 25% damage reduction per hit he gets in the turn. I kind of wish it was slower building and allowed it to be permanent. I mean, yes, against the shorter bosses, I guess it is impactful to have that 50% right away. But I would rather there be a way for it to be permanent than rather as having one turn where he's glass and the next turn he's fine. He can get up to 70% damage reduction and guard if you're running a full either Future Saga team or Extreme. I know he only needs one Future Saga ally on the team, but having a full Future Saga team allows you to have more likelihood of having one on the rotation with him. But I digress. The point is, this unit really only is able to thrive if you're under 70% HP and you have everything ready to go for him to have that 70% damage reduction and the guard, but he can get caught very easily. He is a great option though, because he was an amazing slot 1 early on for this team due to the lack of options Super Bosses had. Now it's gotten the Fusions Masu EZA. You know, there is some help it has, but I definitely think Super Bosses is lacking in areas. It definitely needs more help. But I don't think it's going to be too hard to buff that team because there are tons of people that have the ability to be ran on that team, of course. But again, this Rose is, I could see people say maybe he's a little underwhelming, but I really do enjoy the Super EZA, and he's on this list because I just think he's like one of the stronger EZAs we've gotten this year throughout. All right, the next unit I want to look at is INT Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I know a lot of people are skeptical of his release, even after using him a bit, and I get it. His kit's very basic. When I saw it, that's literally the first thing I said. I might even highlight or screenshot the thing I said. It was like, man, this guy is the most basic kit I've ever seen. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's like big stat, damage reduction, bam, done. Like there's, let's hear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's only 9 lines of text. And a lot of them, well, not a lot of them, but 2 of them are literally the same text but repeating itself due to a turn restriction on us when, you know, he's taking a super attack. But I think he's a great floater, of course. 250% attacking defense when attacking at slot 2 or 3, which is multiplicative. Then he has a 70% chance of countering any super attack in the entire game, which is broken, by the way. Because essentially, instead of being a dodge or die, you're counter or die, and you're only counter or die against super attacks, and you have 70% chance of doing that. That is very strong. A lot of people will underestimate how good that mechanic is, especially because he should tank every normal in this game currently. I don't really know if there's anything that's going to hurt him too much, especially if you have the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta support up. Maybe the rotation has the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku on it. I don't know, but I will say that he is an amazing floater, way better than the STR Super Saiyan 4 Goku and the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I will talk about the Super Saiyan 4 Goku in this video because I do think he deserves a nod, but this Gogeta is just definitely a better option than this too, due to having the nature of a pure floater, and you don't have to worry about him. I mean, he can get up to 8 million defense on his active skill turn with the double Gogeta support up, and of course 3 SA stacks, since he does stack his defense by 4 turns on his super attack, which is pretty strong. So remember, he has 8 million defense, and that can be with 40% damage reduction, or 50 if the Super Saiyan 4 Goku is on rotation. So I think a lot of people have to consider the fact that some of these guys may look underwhelming by themselves, especially if they're on GT Heroes, because they know that AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku gives 10% damage reduction. They know that Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 gives 70% defense for the first 4 turns. There's so much support flowing on that team that they have to consider it when crafting a kit for these EZAs. I do wish he was given just a tiny bit more, especially because we waited a long time for this unit to come out. Came out in 2020, and he's finally got his EZA a little under 5 years later. And I wouldn't say it's, I wouldn't say it was well worth it, but I think they could have given just a little bit more for how long we had to wait for him. All right, let's kind of look at a little older one. I'm going to combine these two together, the LR Fizz Super Saiyan 4s and the LR TEQ Gods. I feel like a lot of times right now in conversations, you're just going to be combining these two a lot and everything. Not that I think they're the same. Of course, the Super Saiyan 4s are definitely better than the Gods due to the nature of having an SA counter against all supers and having damage reduction versus just dodge. Because dodge canceling fights do exist, of course. But I do think they're both really good. Of course, starting the fight with 77% damage reduction, and of course having that guard allows them to be amazing in these special battle fights. Of course, they're stacking, so they're good in long fights as well. They have a lot in their kit that allows them to be really good. And I say this every time I talk about this unit, they only have one hole, and that is the turn 3 of these units. You only have guard, you only have the amount of stacks you got on turn 1 of the unit's usage, so that's all you have. But the greatest thing is, and specifically for the Super Saiyan 4s, is the fact that they're swimming in support by turn 3. They have an extra 140% Defense, if you're running double Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, they may even have the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku next to them. So they might have an additional 70% defense and 10% damage reduction. And they could have like 210 to 270% extra defense in the turn with 10% damage reduction. If there's like Pan, on like the Fizz Pan floating, the AGL Super Saiyan 4, and then of course the Gogetas support live. Like, there is so much that can go right for this unit to allow them to be strong turn 3. The Gods do have issues on turn 3, I will say, but once they fuse or you go into the blues with them, they're both really strong. And they also have a mechanic in their kit that we don't ever consider, is when they're under 50% HP, Gogeta gets 50% damage reduction, and the Gods get 100% dodge. So these guys have like fail safes. If you get to the end of fights, especially in special battles when you're at low HP, these guys go ballistic. Alright, the next unit I want to look at is the Path to Power Kid Goku. How much value this unit has gained since he released on his EZA is quite incredible. Again, due to the same name linking update when he came out, he definitely did not shine the way we were hoping he did. But with the release of Tao and Tien, he got so much better. With a pairing against next to Tao, they're both Rainbow Orb changing, allows him to get his damage reduction to go up, allows him to get his support so much easier. He's a great slot 2 option or slot 3 option if you can. I mean, it's the Tao and Path to Power Kid Goku rotation is definitely one of my favorite rotations in this game, but the fact that he's insanely strong allows him to be used on so many teams, and his 8% damage reduction support that is universal is always very strong. Yeah, you can use it on any team that you could run him on. Heck, you could run this guy on like a TEQ Vegito team, have his support up, and then allow yourself to have units like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta or the STR Blues, or all these new units we've got, these new headliners that go on the Vegito's team or Gogeta's team, really any Pure Saiyans team, and get an extra 8% damage reduction. This guy has a lot of value and what he can do. Pretty high damage. Again, tanks very well. I don't know how well he does in these special battle fights. I haven't had a good chance of running him outside of the first stage, and he did decent, but I wouldn't say like he was super elite. I was pretty impressed that he could go slot 1 though. He went slot 1 because he got locked in there, and he was actually holding the fort down pretty well, which definitely impressed me for this unit because he does get a lot of his stuff when attacking. I'm going to say everything, but he definitely gets 159% attack and defense when attacking, so I was definitely shocked to see that he was tanking pretty well in slot 1. But yeah, this unit has definitely gotten some praise from me. I was a little low on this guy when he released on EZA, but after some time, I really do like this EZA. Alright, let's talk about TEQ Kale and Caulifla. I will say I'm not a huge fan of this EZA anymore. Not that I think it's bad or anything, but with the quick shift from long fight to short fight, it definitely hurt this unit. It doesn't mean they're bad by any means, don't get me wrong, because they definitely have high levels of dodge that allows them to be very strong. But I guess my issue is this, is that there's not any Universal Survival Saga ally that I'm gonna run with this guy. Right? Like, I mean, yes, you could put MUI in front, right? And then you could use them or something of that sort. But what if the first rotation that they come out in and there's not a single USS ally on the team? So then they're out there turn 1 just struggling to perform attacks, and they don't have the, and they won't pop up the other 20% damage reduction, dodge that you would get the next turn, and they only have 70% dodge on the first turn. To me, this unit definitely does not land the same way that they did when they came out. It doesn't mean they're not good, but it's just more so the fact that we got, which is crazy to say, we got like an infinite amount of Universal Survival Saga buffs, and I wouldn't say any of them are good right now, minus AGL MUI, right? Like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Go Frieza's fine in certain fights, but not in the short fights, right? In short fight meta, I wouldn't take any of them, minus AGL MUI, maybe TEQ MUI, STR UI, sure, like any of them that can dodge, which is all the UIs, and that I would run, and then they're fine. I don't love the Kale and Caulifla, especially in this fight. They just don't have enough dodge chance for me to be confident in what they can do, and they definitely don't have enough defense to handle these special battle fights. But yeah, I mean, this Kale and Caulifla definitely struggles, but if you can get them going, they're insanely powerful. 90% dodge on the second turn, 70% dodge turn 1. They stack very quickly, which is a good bonus for them, right? If you can fulfill their whole passive they can get the 2.5 million defense right away. But that is definitely a lot harder to do than they were on release. But I definitely got to give them their flowers because they're still pretty prominent in some difficult content. All right, let's talk about the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I don't really know how else to say it. It's just, I get the people why they're frustrated with these Super Saiyan 4s and, you know, the Super EZA. Omega probably could have made this list as well. I just don't like how squishy he is. This is basically the only guy out of the Super EZAs that came out for the GT side of this celebration that is decent. Like, I wouldn't say decent, but he's good. You know, he's definitely one of the best EZAs we have gotten. Like, he's better than all the Super EZAs we got from Anniversary. The problem is he's not a floater. You have to run him in slot 1 or slot 2. But with 3 SA effect stacks and when receiving an attack, with the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta double support, and next to Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he has 7.3 mil defense and 40% damage reduction. Now, without the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he's up to 5.7 mil defense with double Gogeta support and 10% damage reduction. Without either of those, he does have 4.6 mil defense and 30% damage reduction. So he has a lot going for them. I mean, 4.6 mil defense and 30% damage reduction, I wouldn't say is incredible, but you're not going to die to normals, right? You're not going to die to normals. Maybe fully built up Rose, you could have a chance of dying to that, right? But the great thing as well is he also has a 50% chance of countering all supers in the entire game. Gives him a ton of value in slot 2. I guess more so the issue, of course, is the fact that why would you run this guy slot 2 when you can run the Fizz Super Saiyan 4s or the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku in slot 2? I think more so for me is the fact that it's definitely AoE protection. Locking protection, because if he's going to be a floater, let's just say you use him as a floater, right, and then you float it back, you know, I really do think that him being locked in slot 1 is a possibility. And if he gets locked in the slot 1, you have the ability of not die. You're going to have way better stats in slot 1 because where you're supposed to be, and you get around locking because you actually get stronger from being locked in slot 1 or slot 2. At least that's the way I see it. It's more so a locking protection mechanic than anything else. But again, I understand people are frustrated with the fact that he has to be in slot 1 or slot 2 in order to be that strong. But overall, I think this unit is very strong and an essential asset to GT Heroes. And again, one of the stronger EZAs we've gotten this year. You know, this EZA was definitely one that I wrote off as soon as I saw his details. I mean, he didn't look that impressive. 177% defense start of turn. He gave 40% attack and defense to GT boss allies. Then he got 30% attack and defense per GT bosses or extreme ally on the team, and damage reduction 7% up. So 49% damage reduction there, 210% attack and defense. And then he gave more support, attack and all allies, 17% when all are extreme or GT bosses. And then he got 77 multiplicative attack and defense at 12 key, 77% multiplicative defense when attacking with 18 key, and that's it. But if you look at that, that's not a ton. Basically, it's 210% attack and defense, 177% attack and defense, multiplicative 77%, multiplicative 77%, and that's it. Even calculations-wise, it is fairly low. I believe it totals out to, with 40% support and double Omega, he is at 1.9 million defense. It's not a lot, but he does get the benefit of having 49% damage reduction and then getting another 20% damage reduction from Omega Shenron, allowing him to essentially be at 70% damage reduction with 2 mil defense. That still isn't, I would say, spectacular, but you're gonna live normals, you're not gonna die to those, and you do live a majority of supers. I wouldn't say every super, of course, but he is a very strong asset, and you gotta remember, there is more than 40% support flowing on this team, especially if you're running all of these other guys that have came out, like Super EZA Omega, for example, right? These guys there's a lot of juice on GT bosses that is flowing around right now due to Omega, due to the Super EZA, right? And then, of course, to him now, too, right? He's also giving a ton of support on that team. So I do think that he could have been a little more tankier. He does have his active skill, which does debuff, which, I mean, nothing crazy. It is turn 7, but I do think that he is a very solid EZA. Of course, when you're comparing these guys to some of the previous EZAs we've gotten this year, this guy blows a lot of them out of the water. But you gotta remember, some bosses we've gotten recently are so strong, you get scared with units having 2 mil defense and 70% damage reduction, right? But I mean, this guy, if he came out during the 10th anniversary, this guy would be ludicrous. So, I mean, that's the reason why he's on this list. The last EZA I want to look at today is INT Yamcha. Again, I said I was going to majority look at these EZAs during the celebration, but I do want to look at some of the previous ones, like Path to Power Goku, the Year 7s, and of course, we also looked at TEQ Syn. But we're going to look at INT Yamcha as our final one for this video. I know there's a lot of people like INT Baby we could have talked about, or maybe Super EZA Omega, or Super EZA Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Not really, I'm just joking about him. Or Pan, right? Like, there are some people that I think could have been considered, but I just don't think they got enough. Or Fusion Zamasu, I just don't think they got enough to be considered on this list, and I might be wrong. You guys might disagree with that, and that's fine. I just feel like these guys could have gotten a little more juice in order for them to be on this list, but I digress. Let's talk about INT Yamcha, who is incredible right now. Aged amazing due to the fact that we are in a non-dodge cancel meta, short fight meta. That's where Yamcha shines, right? Untouchable, doing tons of damage. It's just the value of the unit. There's really not much more you gotta talk about him. The fact that he just comes in and just dodges like crazy, and if he gets hit, he's not getting blown away either. He builds up his defense for every attack he performs. He has his intro animation, which gives him tons of defense. His starter turn defense is more defense, and then he gets 40% defense for every rainbow orb he gets. He has a lot of defense going on in his kit, and a lot of dodge characters need to take note from this Yamcha. He's not just good because he dodges, but the fact that if he takes a normal, you're not sweating him dying. That's what makes this unit incredible. And of course, dodge is the best aging mechanic you can have in this game. So now we're in the meta that shows you the reason that's the case, and he's performing very well right now due to it. Anyways, what do you guys think about these units? Do you guys disagree? Do you guys agree with the units on this list? I would love to hear what you guys have to think. The first playlist on the description is going to be all of my Dokkan Battle content videos. The second one is going to be to all of my just regular videos in general. The first one is the voice content. The second one is to all my normal content. Again, I really do like looking back at these videos and kind of seeing what EZAs we've gotten in the past and what we've got now to this day. Of course, I mean past as in just earlier this year. But I mean, it's a pretty strong spread. It is pretty crazy. INT Buhan and Cell did not make this list. I'm not saying that they couldn't. It's just, I mean, right now, they can get caught very easily in these new fights. So it is insane that these guys, we thought, man, they're going to last the entire year, are already gone. And they've gave out EZAs that, I mean, honestly, if they released during the 10th anniversary, we would say are better than Cell and Buhan. So it is pretty crazy the way Dokkan keeps accelerating the power creep. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.